You're good.
Good. Hi guys, out in Facebook land. All right, we're live tonight. As we were off last week because of the hockey game, and the week before that we had Temple Grandin. We got a great guest tonight. Mitch Cohen is going to join us. He's going to talk about the business of franchising. So during our 7-minute break, we don't have a dog today, but if you want to text some questions about the business side, what franchising is a little bit of a it's a unique type of business model. I'll probably say the wrong things, but Mitch is here to straighten me out on what exactly we do, what he does more importantly, and what franchising is all about. So just stick with us, and if you have questions, call. I'm a little tired, I've been up late, but we're going to have a good show, a lot of good questions, very interesting stuff. Remember, Animals in Translation, Temple Grandin. If you have a dog, knew a dog, saw a dog, you should read this book. If you don't, if you're in the pet care business and you don't know who Temple Grandin is, then that's a problem. So you should read her book and get an interesting perspective. We'll be going live on the radio in a couple of minutes. Let's see. I do a couple of minutes just talking about Houndstown, the brand, and all that stuff.
I'll take the cue from you.
Yeah.
60 seconds. Alrighty. On it. 10 seconds. In 5, 4, 3.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host Mike Gould, affectionately known as the mayor of Houndstown USA. Houndstown USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth. Houndstown is a fully interactive pet care facility with locations in about 30 locations in about 10 states right now. So we're really ramping up because we provide fully interactive pet care for your dog, where dogs can come, as I like to say, hump, jump, and dump without getting yelled at, screamed at, squirted with water. They live the dog's life there, and it's a really special and unique environment. So if you're unfamiliar with us, just check us out on houndstownusa.com. If you're interested in franchising or a business opportunity, which we're going to be talking about this evening, we're going to be we're going to really drill down into what franchising is all about. Joining me, of course, is the very lovely Danielle. Hello, Danielle. She's been out. She wasn't, we were preempted by the hockey game last week, which is, of course, ridiculous. I don't even, watching hockey is painful to me, and then you're going to listen to hockey on the radio? I don't know. No offense to my friend Pete out in Detroit, an avid hockey player, but I got to say hello, wish everybody a happy new year. Joan and Tom Sullivan down in Beverly Hills, not California, Florida, Beverly Hills, Florida, giving them a shout out. What else? I'm sorry. We're on Facebook Live, by the way. For those of you nerds that are on Facebook, go ahead and Houndstown Radio, watch us. It's going to be an interesting show. I've been up since 1 o'clock. I have a new grandson came into the family. 1 o'clock in the morning. John Joseph was born last night, so we're really happy about that. I haven't gotten much sleep. I hope that he's not like his grandfather, cursed with Kavorka. I was at 16 years old. I was cursed with Kavorka. It's a painful thing to go through for your whole life. So hopefully John Joseph doesn't have that. For those of you who don't know what Kavorka is, Google it. You'll find out. So anyway, my daughter Heather is in the hospital now. And her dad, her husband John Senior, is there. So they're all doing well, and they're probably. Have no choice but to watch this program. All right, so anyway, what do we do? So the dish on dogs is generally we talk about the dog brain and the human brain and how in the anthropomorphism of dogs, meaning people project their needs onto animals, and sometimes it's very toxic. So Houndstown relieves that. It's a kind of a place where dogs can go and be dogs without that influence, that toxic influence of being yelled at for being on the couch, being yelled at for all these crazy things, particularly around the holidays, right? So dogs don't understand why there's a tree growing in your living room and there's balls hanging from it. They don't understand all the food that's laying around. Tomorrow, this is our New Year's show, so of course I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. So tomorrow you guys might be having parties at your house and you're going to be drunk and your drunken uncle will be over drinking. Your dog lives 15 inches off the ground. He doesn't want any part of that, right? He's going to get himself in all kinds of trouble, getting into food that he shouldn't be in. So bring him to Houndstown USA so he can have a nice, beautiful, pleasant experience for New Year's. So that's my advice. Do you agree with that, Danielle?
Yes.
All right,
I
good.
do.
Danielle will be, are you working tomorrow?
No, I'm off.
Oh, she's off. Okay. So joining me tonight, this is going to be a great show. So, we talk about pet care, the pet care business. So there's mom and pop pet cares, there's big corporate pet cares. You know, of course, PetSmart, these big, large corporations, Petco, PetSmart. Then there's also mom and pop owned doggy daycares or pet care facilities. And then what we do at Houndstown is we're involved in franchising. So tonight we're very happy to have with us kind of a guru in franchising. His name is Mitch Cohen, and he is a franchise owner. He owns, and I'm going to let him fill in the blanks for me once I introduce him, but he has this incredible background. And he can explain to you and us kind of what franchising is, what the pros and cons are, and why. I mean, if you drive around nowadays, 20 years ago when I first started Houndstown, frankly, I didn't want to be involved in franchising because I wanted to, for me, it was a new experience and I wanted to develop something on my own. So I kind of stayed away from franchising. But now, for better or worse, when you travel throughout the country, everything is franchised. Everything is. And there's good reason for that. There's very good reasons for it. So if you associate yourself with a good franchise, it has a lot of benefits. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest, Mitch Cohen from Performax. And he's a franchise consultant advisor. So welcome to our show, Mitch.
Well, Mike, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And happy, healthy New Year and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you.
I guess just a little bit more about myself so we can set the expectations for the audience is I've been in franchising for over 35 years, mostly in the food space, previous Dunkin' Donuts, Baskin-Robbins franchisee, currently a Jersey Mike's sub-franchisee, and I also sit on the board of the International Franchise Association in the board of directors, and I also sit as a board advisory on the Multi-Unit Franchise Conference advisory board. And we started a little over a year ago our consulting business. So Performax Franchise Consultant Advisors does consulting in the franchise space for all different types of franchisors to help with their franchisees and their brand standards and to just kind of help reorganize or set up better systems or work with their systems to make performance better within the brand.
So just to explain, International Franchise Association is a huge organization. It's probably the franchise organization.
So yeah, the International Franchise Association is the premier association in franchising right now. It's really an organization made up of all three legs of the stool in the business. So your suppliers, your franchisors, and your franchisees, all working together basically to protect, promote, and enhance franchising. And when I say protect, it's talking about legislation and what kind of regulations are coming down the pipe, and how do we get ahead of it to make sure that we're protecting our business. And then we want to promote the business because franchising, as you said before, is a very unique model, but it's also one of the highest performing models in the business industry for small businesses. We have over 8 million in businesses that are franchises. We employ hundreds of thousands of people in the industry, and so it's important that we kind of protect that model and make sure that it gives people an opportunity, one, to become small business people with a structure, and two, to help employees that are first getting started to have the opportunity to eventually get to the American dream and be small business owners as well.
Right. And I have to say, as I said earlier, so to me, there's a gut reaction that there's a sadness that mom and pops are not there anymore. So in a sense that I don't think they can't compete with what a franchise brings to the system. I'm probably saying this all wrong, but in other words, we, as Houndstown, we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in marketing our brand and stuff. So it puts a mom and pop who's just trying to, get by. So it's a really unique relationship. And the other thing that I like, when you'll talk about it more at length, we don't sell franchises. So it's not like we're selling timeshares. We're developing a partnership. And we award them to people that are vetted, and we feel that, for each, and you'll talk about your different franchise experiences. But is that a right assessment of why franchising is good today now than ever in the economy that we're in?
Yeah, so it's a very relatively lower cost of entry because a brand is you're investing in an established brand versus trying to be Mitch's whatever. So you've got an established brand with established systems. So to get into a small business these days, you have to develop this, and it's very costly. So you can make an investment into an existing franchise company with these systems in place and the brand equity there, and at the same time you're creating, it's a partnership, it's a relationship, and a lot of franchise systems have 10 and 20-year agreements that you're entering into. So you're awarding somebody an opportunity to work with you as well as you're being awarded to work with them.
Right.
And together you create to scale a business that could be successful. So there are certain things that I do in my industry that I have no expertise in, but I was able to do it because the franchise model taught me how to get it done.
Right. So after the break, we're going to talk about exactly that, how you got involved in franchising, and more importantly, why. And as you said, it's a relationship. So our agreements are 10-year agreements. So this is a marriage for us. So we take this very serious. It's not, again, like we're selling something, see you later, bye. We have to make sure our franchisees are well vetted and understand our culture and what they're getting themselves into. And I think that's what a good franchise should do. So after the break, we're going to take 2 minutes. Stay with us on Facebook. Come back after the break. And Mitch is going to explain why he got involved and then explore that whole thing. Join us back in 2 minutes, folks. Thank you. That's good. Let's see if I'm getting yelled at by Jackie. Jackie, are you watching out there? I'm doing good so far. I'm a little nervous. Our guests are getting higher caliber guests all the time. I'm a little nervous. Temple Grandin, now I got Mitch. I'm stressed out here. All right, so what has she got? So she wants me to ask how you got involved and why, the 5, and then she's talking about differentiators.
What are your differentiators?
Okay, I'm reading them now. I should know these. Founded by someone with experience in the dog management field. Focus on dogs, not humans. That's what we do.
Right.
Okay. Low cost of entry, no upcharging, and inclusive pricing. staff that knows what they're doing. So I guess training, but we can, that's something we can talk about.
Oh, yeah, but we could hit on those and I could do a compare and contrast.
Okay. And then the segment 3 is what it takes to be a good franchisee. You got this. These are all questions. You can probably answer this stuff in your sleep.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
All right. Is at least Jackie watching, or
Yes.
you can't tell? She is?
She is.
Why isn't she yelling at me?
45 seconds, guys.
All right.
I
45
hope
seconds.
she's got my good profile. If I would have known, I would have turned my chair the other way.
You look better in person.
$30. Ten seconds. In 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, mayor of Houndstown, USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth. For those of you just catching up, Houndstown USA is a pet care facility that allows dogs to be dogs. Since our inception, we've taken care of 1.5 million dogs. And that's one of the reasons that we have chose, and this is the discussion for tonight, franchising. So if it's the end of the new year, if you were stuck in traffic on the LIE, your car broke down, got to work, got yelled at because you didn't put in a purchase order that was not correct, or you cost too much money, or you were late, or you're on a wonderful Long Island Railroad, and you've just had it with that, and you want to be the master of your own destiny, if you have what it takes, and it does take quite a bit, and I've learned this over the years of learning about franchising, that it's many facets to it. It's not just passion. You know what I generally say on this show, passion and knowledge is one thing, but without work it is no good. So you can be passionate couch potato. So franchising, small business ownership, or anything in life requires a lot of hard work. As I said, tonight joining me is kind of a guru in franchising, Mitch Cohen from Performax Franchise Advisors. He's really a very impressive guy. He knows, I mean, like I said, I'm going to ask him very elementary questions, and he probably answers these in his sleep. So welcome back, Mitch, and thanks for coming again.
Thanks for having me.
So, what we left off, how did you get involved? How did you get involved in this? How did you get involved in franchising? And more importantly, why did you?
So, coming out of college back in the early 80s, I was looking for a career, and actually, franchising was not on the top of my list. I went to work at a Baskin-Robbins as a manager for a franchisee, and he gave me the opportunity to grow with him, and we went from 1 unit to 15 units over the course of like a 3-year span.
Wow.
So it gave me that stepping stone to become a small business person straight out of college, which if I would have went to work for a corporation, which was my goal coming out of college, I probably would have never gotten to be a small business person. So I had an entrepreneurial spirit, but I didn't know how to harness it, and I certainly didn't have the financial wherewithal to start my own business, so it kind of worked out perfect for me.
Right. So I think there's a certain element of fear in franchising. So, it's easier to get a job. You're getting paid, or you think you're getting paid every Friday, and there's not a lot of risk. But on the other hand, there's not a lot of reward. So when you say you are a small business owner, you're a lot more than that. So talk about where you came from Baskin-Robbins. I'm assuming you were managing or owned those, or?
Well, I started as a manager, and the opportunity came for growth, and there was the opportunity to become a partner financially and with some sweat equity. And we went from 1 unit to 2 to 3 to 5 to 15. And then in 2001, we ended up separating that partnership. I retained my other partners in the business, and we went into Dunkin' Donuts. And eventually, over a short period of time, we were able to develop 15 Dunkin' Donuts. 15 seemed to be the number for us. I don't know why.
Right, whatever.
But, and so it's a large business, but it's still a small business at the end of the day, right? We're in the community, just like Houndstown, in the community, doing philanthropy work, working on making sure that our guests and your guests, the people that have your pets and that come to you, understand that you're not just a building somewhere in a town, that you're actually participating in community service, you're helping out, you're offering jobs and employment to local people and giving them the opportunity to grow within that system.
Right, so when I think of you, you're primarily in the food service business, and we had talked briefly a couple of weeks ago, and it really doesn't matter what business you're in, really. It's what your entrepreneurial spirit is and what you bring to the table. But I would have to think, so we talk about differentiators. So Baskin Robbins was competing with Carvel. I mean, I don't know who the competitors are, and Dunkin' Donuts competes with it. And they talk about differentiators. So, and now, what's your most recent endeavor, Jersey Mike's?
Jersey Mike's Subs.
Which is an amazing place, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So, in our business, we're different in the sense that we're actually cutting the subs to order in front of you. And we give a personality where we're talking to the guests when they come in. We're making sure they feel at home. We want it to be their local corner sub shop. So that sets us apart from other places in the food industry. I'm sure you have your own in your industry.
Right, so that's kind of what I was trying to get to, is what I guess is termed in the business differentiators. What makes you different? So in our business, of course, we have 3 or 4 or 5 differentiators. One is that we really understand the animal brain, the dog brain. My background is in dog management, really. I don't have any sophisticated degrees in business. I really don't know much, but I know dogs. And I've managed dogs for the New York City Police Department and the Nassau County Police Department. So I bring that to the table, and that is a differentiator. A lot of our competitors had dogs or like dogs, so they open a franchise, which may or may not work, but that is our differentiator, and we focus in on the dogs and not the humans. So we have to understand that humans are bringing a lot of emotion to the table, and dogs are dogs. Dogs haven't evolved in 500,000 years. They're pretty close to being a wolf, as they don't stand erect, they don't have thumbs, their brain has not grown, they're still dogs that just want to hump, jump, and dump, as I like to say, and that's what they want to do. That's their enjoyment in life, rolling around and so forth. So Houndstown, we don't upcharge. So these are differentiators. So just to talk about that, like when you do want to be, especially in the I should say the food industry, I mean, the competition has to be unbelievable. So how do you carve that niche?
Yeah, so, that's part of franchising, right? So when you get involved in a system, whether it's Houndstown or in the food industry, say Jersey Mike's Subs, they're offering you a system that has the differentiators in it, where in our business, like I said, we're freshly baking our bread. We're slicing sandwiches right in front of you. We're building it with our vegetables as you want it built, versus the old style, you go in, you order a sub, and they walk away, come back, sandwich wrapped in paper, you never saw it happen.
Right.
It's important to, when you're looking at franchises, and I go back to yours because I've done a little bit of research in other doggy daycare. I think your biggest one is that you're concentrating on how these dogs interact with each other versus what's going on with the people that are servicing the dogs and the owners. A lot of the places I've done an investigation in, it's not as dog-centric, so to speak.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's really, it's kind of amazing to me, because that's the business of it. So you're in the food business, so you want to have good quality food, and you want to make good sandwiches, you want to provide the product. That's your product. So that's important. There was another question I had. So Jersey. But the thing that stuck in my mind most when we were talking. So if people, when I drive, Louis just dropped something. Louis is in the background over there. When I drive around, do you ever just drive by and say, this isn't going to work? You drive by and you see a franchise, whatever it is, if it's a technology kind of place, I kind of cringe when I see somebody investing their money in a technology that might not be here in 5 years.
I spend a lot of time driving around from location to location and looking at what my next opportunity might be because of somebody else going either into a bad location because they didn't do the research with the wrong product. Unfortunately, that happens, right? Everybody's not going to be successful, but I think that's, again, power of franchising, right? So when I'm partnering with my franchisor, they're not going to just let me open it on a whim somewhere because I want to, right? You understand what it takes to drive your business and where you need to be located and what the drivers are for each one of those locations. So as an investor with a franchise, I'm a little bit less, it's a little bit less risky to do it that way than to try to find my own location and to say I'm going to fix cell phones today and make it Mitch's I Fix Phones type of thing,
Right.
and don't know where to put it because I saw a good location and I live there. So
Right.
that helps with the partnership, and that's why we rely on great franchisees like franchisors like your company has.
Right. And I think we'll talk about that after the break, how we vet franchisees. And I think, as I said, people sometimes think that with enough money they can buy into anything. And that's really not the truth. Not as far as Houndstown's concerned. I'm sure you feel that sentiment. Money is not going to buy you a franchise. You need to have many, many other requirements and so forth. We call it a cultural fit. We like to have fun. We're going to talk about that after the break with Mitch Cohen from Performax Advisors, Franchise Advisors. Stay with us, kids. What happened over there, Louis?
It's this freaking,
Black
this is freaking handbag.
It just rolled off.
That's fine. That's fine.
I dropped it in the
Yeah, we
park.
needed a few. We needed some laughs anyway. No, you don't have to live with it. Let's see.
Oh, yes, he does.
Oh, Mitch.
No, okay.
It's like it's welcome to the club.
Why isn't Jackie harassing me?
Maybe you're doing a good job.
Yeah, how about that?
That'd be shocking. What was I going to say? That was good. Time is flying here. So, yeah, I think that so what she has here is what it takes to be a good franchise. Whatever you think flows now to finish out the next 20 minutes. But I think we're on the right path.
Yeah, I think just keep going with her questions. This way you can get yelled at.
Right. That's what I'm trying to avoid. That I usually
Stay on topic.
I'm breathing or stay on topic.
Yeah.
Don't talk. Don't breathe into the micro. I gotta
Yeah.
breathe, Jackie. Just FYI, I gotta breathe.
Stay on topic. I'll answer the questions.
That's
We'll go
good.
from there.
That's good. And then we have this is a 2-minute break or a 7-minute?
7?
What is this? 2 or 7?
7.
Oh, okay. So we got plenty of time. All right, good. We can chill out. If you guys out there, franchise land, I don't know who's out there.
Kristen P.
Oh, Kristen and Pete, trendy. We love you. You got any questions? We got to go on a call tomorrow. Who else?
Ann was watching.
Ann, we love Ann.
Sarah.
Sarah. All right.
Joe.
Pittsburgh boys.
These
How's
are
my friend
franchisees.
Sam? Yeah, these are franchisees, employees.
That's great.
Anthony was on.
And he's not
I
anymore?
don't know if he's on.
Anthony, Sam. All right. That's good. If you guys got questions, you know it all. Everybody knows everything out there. You don't have any questions. We're going to do a grand
Oh,
opening
my
soon.
partner's listening on.
Oh, good. Which one? Which partner? Tom? I haven't met any of your partners.
Just text me. Said he loves it.
All right, good. We're getting big reviews here. Usually I'm a buffoon and talks too much, so far so good. We needed that little interruption there, Louis, so bring something. If you see us, if you see us struggling here, just throw something at me. What was I going to say? Yeah, we're going out to, where are we going? Detroit. We want to schedule our grand opening. We're excited about going out there. We have... we're opening, Michelle's opening down in Atlanta in a couple of weeks. Where's Michelle? Michelle's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Stone Mountain,
Yeah, not quite Atlanta. but-
not quite Atlanta. And then Dave and Zena Lauby are opening down in Nashville. It's going to be fun. We got a busy year. We were opening about 10 locations this year.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's
It's gonna be
impressive.
exciting.
Yeah, it is fun. It's a lot of juggling though. Yeah, so we're going to take Mitch's advice. He's got some really good insight. He's going to be at our conference, by the way. Mitch and his team are going to be at our conference in when is it? May. So we have a lot of really talented people lined up. A lot of partying too. A couple of, Jackie's going to pop out of a cake during at some point.
Now you
Now we get there. I got reservations at the cigar bar. There's a cigar bar right there in Pittsburgh. So we're going to have a lot of fun. But we're really bringing in a lot of talented people to help us. And many of our franchisees right now help us. They come from backgrounds Anthony and Steve. They're from the banking industry, so it's really that's what I kind of like.
It's a family.
It's a family of really talented people.
We call it family.
Family? That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Temple Grandin talked about when dogs sniff the fire, sniff urine, she called that P-mail. So she says they're just checking everybody else's P-mail. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so, yeah, we have this, and that's, honestly, when we do the vetting, we're looking for people, what they bring, that potentially can bring to the table. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. You'll tell me as we go in our next
Oh, I
segment.
think it's a great idea.
3 minutes.
All right, 3 minutes,
Oh, there's
kids.
a question. Hold
A question.
on.
A question.
We want to know if you've considered any franchisees and then decided not to invest in why. So if you want-
What's the question?
Is it
Do you wanna
franchisees or
write it down?
franchisors?
No, you can say it. We're going to answer it right now. What does it say?
We want to know if you've considered any franchises and then decided not to invest
so
in
it's
why.
for me.
Franchises, yeah, it's for you.
Okay.
Oh, for you to like
Right.
invest in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. We don't need, that's probably from Jackie. All right, Jackie, thank you. We need all the help we can get here. She says I wrote a question, no one's answering it.
It
That's
doesn't come up
Danielle.
on the, it doesn't come up on the iPad.
Don't
for
blame
some reason.
Danielle, Jackie.
I don't know why it doesn't come up on here.
Mitch is doing a great job here. He's got his friend Louie here throwing stuff at us,
Keeping us awake.
keeping us awake at this hour. We're old guys, we need to be in bed.
Two minutes.
Yeah, we're going to go to Pittsburgh. I'm really excited about that. You are too, right,
I love
Danielle?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's great.
Oh,
Great
it's
city.
amazing
great
city.
city.
I love it.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that. What are you laughing about? Something happening over there?
No.
Yes.
Something that's happening. That means
Yes, there
yes,
is.
right? I don't know what, but somebody's making fun of me.
Everyone's always giving me.
I know. All right, wait, this is going nice. New Year's, okay, yeah. And then they have the torment of actually playing these shows in their lobby. So it's like
Oh.
they have to almost have to see me, you know, all the
All the
time.
time.
It's like torture for them.
Good thing for the mute button.
Right, exactly. Well, they just see me coming and they put it on. They're watching, you know, Dr. Phil.
Yeah, keep the loop going. All right, he left. Okay.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, it's torture. I torture myself. I have to live with myself. Think how bad that is. I can't get away.
Thirty.
You eat dinner? Did you eat?
Can I eat? No.
No.
Ten. And 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, mayor of Houndstown USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth. As I said, since our inception, we've taken care of over 1.5 million dogs. Can you imagine that? It's really kind of incredible. And we love every minute of it. Tonight, joining us, we're not talking about dog behavior. It's really more focused at human behavior. And we have the pleasure of having Mitch Cohen from PerformMax Franchisee Advisors. And he's really an incredible guy. He's got really a wealth of knowledge. I'm not just saying that because he's here. He really does. He impressed me so much with because franchising is very unique. It's what I consider a very transparent business model. You know, people come in and they might be a little skeptical because people are I can't say bullshitted, right? Constantly, I said it, right?
You said it anyway.
You know, and people are sick of that, right? And that's our business model at Houndstown. We don't BS people. We tell them the truth. We educate them. We don't tell them that we don't charge them extra to give the dog ice cream. We don't give we do give belly rub, but we don't charge for it. You know, so it's a very straightforward, transparent, and what I like to consider a very honest. As a franchisor, I want to be able to go to bed at night knowing that people came into my system, they've invested, for the most part, probably their life savings at this point in time, or a significant part of it, and I want to make sure that we are as transparent. In fact, they tell me I shouldn't be involved in the sales process because I don't try to discourage people, but I do want them to understand that they're not playing with dogs. They're not coming. We understand that everybody loves dogs. That's almost a prerequisite, right? People love dogs and children. If you don't, you shouldn't be a human. So, but loving dogs is not a prerequisite for us. In fact, from my end of it, the dog behavior angle, I'd rather you not even know which end of a dog is which. I can teach you which end bites and which end poops, and that's all you kind of have to know. So you don't have to have an in-depth knowledge of that. And I think that when we start talking to Mitch again, I think that's probably part of all franchising. If you own a Jersey Mike, you don't have to be a chef. So let's pick up where we left off. What does it take to be a good franchisee?
So I think part of it is this relationship piece, right, that we talked about earlier. The franchisor is vetting you, and you're vetting the franchisor at the same time. And so there has to be the feeling that you're going to have this long-term relationship, 10, maybe 20 years, right? You can't predict the future, but it's a marriage. And so the first thing is, from a franchisee's perspective, to be a good franchisee, one, you want to trust the franchisor. Two, you want to believe in the systems that they put out in place. And three, you want to have passion around whatever it is you're investing in. And if you have those three things, inside your heart, when you're starting to make these business decisions and you let your brain function around those three decision-making processes, you can create a great relationship. And that helps you become a good franchisee. Now, you have to also have a great work ethic, because this isn't a job, no matter what it is, where you're just going to lay down some cash, write a check, and turn on the lights and everybody's going to show up. Whether you're doing doggy daycare, fixing cell phones, or making subs. At the end of the day, you're going to be the face of the business. Just like when you grew your business and you started 20 years ago, it was about you and your personality and your culture. And so you have to be able to invest in that, and that starts you on the right track to be a good franchisee.
Right. So to answer Jackie's question, do you ever see franchise, like what would draw you to you as an investor, an entrepreneur? You see everything. There's probably, thousands and thousands of franchises right now, right? It's probably never been more popular than today, franchising. I guess it's connected to the economy. What do you see, like what flags do you say what do you look for before you even get involved with a franchise?
Well, the first thing I'm going to look for, I want to be passionate about whatever industry I'm going into, number one. Number two is I look at the franchisor's track record with their relationship with their franchisees. If you go and you talk to franchisees that are existing and you find out that, hey, I invested in this, but they're not doing this, they're not doing this, I thought I was going to get that, but I got, Y instead, that's a red flag. The other thing is I look at the culture of the franchise or's employees, right? Is there a culture, and how do they work within that culture? And is it a culture I want to be part of? And then you have to look at the financial viability of the business, right? What is the investment? What's your return on investment? What are you expecting to gain from this? And last but not least, I think you want to be able to build wealth in what you're investing in versus buying a job, right? There's a difference between buying a job and building wealth. If you're buying a job, you can plunk down a check anywhere, show up 9 to 5, go home, get paid a minimum amount of money, whatever you need. But in franchising, you want to build equity. So the equity is you're going to put up money, you're going to start to build your brand along with the franchisor so that you have something at the end of the day that you're going to return on investment when you finally did decide to exit the program.
Right. So when you see franchisees or potential franchisees, I'm assuming you see a wide range. Some people that want to invest in multiple units. Some people they just want a little kind of literally a mom and pop, make X amount of money a year. But be the boss. Who's that, Louis again over there? I was doing good. I was on a roll there, Louis. Oh, Louis.
I got it all.
So there's a spectrum of people, right? So we have people that just, literally want to do a mom and pop, make X amount of money. It's better than their last job. They don't want to be bossed around. Then we have people that are coming in now more than ever buying multiple units and they're really entrepreneurs that are kind of talking, that really want to grow wealth. And one unit's not going to do it. There's a limit to what one unit is going to produce, and it's very transparent what those numbers are. We have FDDs, franchise disclosure documents that people can look at. So there's not a lot of smoke and mirrors in franchising. So that's one thing. So how do you deal with that? Are you okay if somebody wants to just be a mom and pop and that's all they're going to do, one unit?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, depending on what the business is, if it's one unit, but they're going to be the best of the best, and they're going to represent the brand well and stay on brand and keep up to brand standards, that's great. They're building wealth for themselves. It doesn't have to be multi-units.
Right.
They're going to have one unit, but they're going to build wealth because it's their baby, right? And so as long as that's working, it's fine. It's when you get somebody that is not engaged from the get-go, and maybe during your due diligence process you thought they were, and then they become one-offs and they're not engaged, it handcuffs you as a franchisor. So you have to do your due diligence and making sure that you're selecting the right people to enter this partnership as well.
Right, and it is. It's a process that you have to make sure. One of the big things I talk about at Houndstown is really we want to have fun. So this isn't a funeral parlor franchise. It's fun. So we have enough drama in our lives. So when we want our employees, we want our staff, and we want our franchisees. Obviously, there's serious moments, and this is a very emotional business, and we got to be aware of that. One of my biggest problems, or not problems, and I said it before the break, it's like maybe a dirty word. I said, my New Year's resolution is compliance. In other words, we have a well-developed business model from what time you turn on the lights, what you adjust the thermostat. I mean, we cover literally everything that should be done, and not always do franchisees follow that. Everybody listening today does, but there's one or two that the ones that aren't listening, those are the ones I'm talking about, that don't follow every aspect. And I get it because it's complicated. And one of the things I've noticed recently is we have these really smart people that work in big corporations, but when it comes to running a 5-employee business, they kind of struggle with that. And and I don't know the necessary answer to that, but I use the word compliance. You said that's not a bad word, but that's not how we approach it.
Right. So we approach, there's a system in place. Obviously, compliance at the end of the day is what every franchisor would like. We like to say getting back on brand. So following the systems, the brand standards, there's a reason that they're there. Now, as a franchisee, and I told Jackie this way back when we first met, is franchisees, once they sign the documents, we believe we're the smartest people in the room. That's just a fact. We're entrepreneurs, we're trapped in this body, but we also didn't take the risk to build a brand. But we believe we could have, but we didn't. So the fact is that because we think we're the smartest people, sometimes we stray from being on brand. So you have to work very hard you have to work as a franchisor during the relationship to make sure that everybody understands being on brand, quote unquote, compliance, is what makes this brand tick and what's going to gain them the best avenue for growth.
Right.
Now, on the flip side, you're going to have franchisees that have great ideas, and I would suggest as a franchisor that you listen to the ideas.
Absolutely.
So that everybody can have a voice. It's not going to be yes to everything, but there might be something that comes out of the franchise system that's a winner.
Right.
McDonald's is a perfect example, right? With the Big Mac.
Right.
That came from a franchisee.
Right.
So
Ronald McDonald. That's great. So let's take our last break, and then we're going to come back, right? Is there one more segment? Last time I did this, and it wasn't another segment.
And
I want to stay here with Mitch. We have some really good stuff, and I want to pick up with what I call compliance and why it develops your value, the value of your brand, your unit. What happened over there, Louis?
I don't know.
Your timing was a little off. You got to wait till we're...
Then they started to talk.
I'm
dying over here.
Throw them out.
You're funny. That's
I
great.
gotta tell you, that thing that rolled off, didn't roll off until you put your water down. I was sitting here like
My
this.
water set the table off balance. Can you
Put
imagine?
your water down,
Oh,
that thing
boy.
started to roll.
All right.
And I saw it rolling, it was like slow motion. I was, oh my God. I couldn't
I
get
like that, Louis.
I'll take the heat for it, but it's tough.
Okay, yeah, it was my
Yeah.
water on this
Yeah. Yeah,
solid
you
table.
banged the table and it started to roll.
And the phone was,
That was, listen,
What is this news?
I don't know what that was.
Advice for new franchise. So this is what you wanted to talk about. Biggest mistakes you made as a franchisee, lessons learned, advice for new franchisees. Well, we'll pick up because I think that's exactly right. Like your
60
value of your,
seconds.
huh?
60 seconds.
60 seconds.
The value. That's what I don't think people recognize when they deviate. The value of the brand is what's really developing value.
but I know when we get back to compliance, I'll give you a McDonald's example
Yeah.
about franchisors hearing franchisees, like making suggestions.
Oh, yeah.
Making suggestions to, and I'll tell you what the former CEO of McDonald's.
I'm going to segue into that. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Listening.
30.
That's a good point. So I want to talk about that. Because obviously we do that. I listen to employees, but I can't take every idea everyone has, or you'd never do anything.
Ten seconds.
Remind me to get a picture before we leave for our Facebook page. That girl. I always forget that.
In 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, mayor of Houndstown USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth. Fully interactive pet care facilities that focuses on the dog and not so much the human. And we do a pretty good job at it. And today we're joined, we're talking not so much about dog behavior, but human behavior in the sense that we have one of the gurus in franchising, Mr. Mitch Cohen is with us. And he's been talking a lot. It's very informative. And if you've ever wondered what franchising, what's the difference between buying a store, a local mom and pop, opposed to what franchising is, one of the things Mitch was talking about before the break was, listen. So I guess, to be honest, the franchisor thinks we're the smartest and the franchisee think they're the smartest. And obviously nobody is either of those things. There's no perfect person. There's no smarter person. So we talk about listening to franchisees, absolutely. So my employees, I tell my employees that work in our locations, I listen to everybody's advice, but don't be offended if we don't take it. Because if I have 10 employees and each one of them have 2 great ideas, that's 20 ideas that I can't implement. No way, no how. So we love it, we listen, we absolutely listen. But we've tried over the years taking care of 1.5 million dogs. We've experienced everything that's in our operations manual is there for a reason. I laugh at our discovery days. It's not like Jackie and I stay up at night trying to screw with people and make rules and procedures and regulations. The reason they're in our operations manual is because we had an experience that we needed to correct. And that's why our operations manual is so big. And so anyway, Mitch, so let's talk about that, where we left off. Like, in other words, we were talking about what makes a good franchisee, why it's good to listen, and why it's not good to listen.
Right. Well, and I'll just give you an example. So the former CEO of McDonald's, Ed Ramsey, was at a conference that I was at, and he said he listens to all the franchisees, and one of the franchisees came up with this great idea that they wanted to sell pizza. And he said, that's great. He said, do me a favor. I'm willing to hear you, but are you in compliance with what we're doing today? And are you doing it well? And if you're doing it well when we come in, then the next thing you need to do is make a business plan on how we're going to do this new product and what it looks like. And when you do all of that, we'll sit down and talk about it, because it's just an idea, and I love ideas, but I need to prove it out before we can do it. So there are certain things that, our responsibility as a franchisee is to be able to have these great things going around in our head, but we need to come to you as a franchisor and say, I have an idea, here's how I think it's going to work, and then you can go back and do your work around your experiences and would it work, could you implement it, can't you implement it? And like you said, you can't be offended as a franchisee if the franchisor doesn't take your example, but it's worth listening to, and it's always worth having that open dialogue so both franchisor and franchisee can talk very transparent with each other, which you said early on, it's a transparent business. As far as the value of compliance, listen, there's brand equity here, no matter what franchise you're with. And so as a fellow franchisee, when somebody gets off brand, I want to make sure that they're doing the right thing, because they're hurting my equity. If they're doing something way out of whack and it's a negative, then it's going to hurt the equity of the business. On the flip side, if they have a great idea and it can't be implemented, doesn't mean that you go out and do it on your own because I'm smarter than the franchisor. It means I tried, it's not accepted, let's move on. Our business is predicated on your operations manual as a franchisor, no matter who it is. That's what I bought. I bought that. I bought the relationship. I bought the system. I need to utilize that to the best of my ability to make the most amount of money and make the guest and the community happy.
Right. What do you say? So I see a lot of times, especially new franchises opening up, there's a tendency to be a little nervous, and they want to do what other franchise is doing. So in other words, in our business, we have our competitors, obviously, and we have a very specific business model, and we do very specific things within that business model. So if we have a franchisee that just opened up and he's sitting around and maybe the business isn't living up to their expectations, how do you not convince them? That's not the right word. But how do you just have people give it a little time? Give us 3 months. Give us a year before these things are going to gel.
So I think part of that is it starts when you're doing your discovery day and you start having that conversation. That look, set the expectations up early, right? There's going to be an opportunity where we have to ramp up the business, where we have to go find the customers, where you're not going to have a full house of doggy daycare people every day, or not everybody's going to walk in Jersey Mike's the minute I turn on the lights. How do we go out and procure those people to come in, and what is that time frame, and try to be realistic about it in the conversation. Now, if for some reason that time frame doesn't get hit and it's extended, why? That's when the franchise operations team needs to be a little bit more hands-on and working with the franchisee and looking at what the obstacles might have been so you can get over those hurdles. I think for a lot of franchisees, because there's a lot of financial pressure getting started, right, my suggestion is, if you're getting into this business, to make sure that you're not under-financed, that you built into your financing package that period of ramp-up time, so I don't have to be nervous, so I don't have to worry that, hey, the guy down the street's doing this, I don't care what your manual says, I need to do that. No, we have a proven track record. You have 30-plus units out there, they're all working, they're good. Don't stray from what you're doing.
Right. No, that's excellent advice. What would you say, real quick, would be your biggest mistake? You must have made mistakes, obviously, you're human.
You don't have enough time to hear all my mistakes.
Okay.
But my biggest mistake probably was we invested in some existing locations that were way underperforming, and we thought we could bring them back to life. It was primarily location more than operations, but the operations started to go back by the wayside. And we made a large investment, and in a year and a half, we ended up closing one location and selling off the other two because it just wasn't viable.
So it was a miscalculation.
So, well, it was a little bit of miscalculation on our effort, what we thought we were going to be able to do better, and also on perception of the locations.
Right. So demographics, was that what you mean by that? Or not really?
The demographics, where it was on the street, what was going to happen, on the road the year after we bought it, that who knew the road was going to close, those types of things.
Right. And there are unknowns, right? Absolutely. And there's a certain risk in this, right? There's a certain level of speculation, or everybody would do it, right?
Sure.
So it's either 401k or this. What would be, quickly, advice for new franchisees? They want to do it. I always see what I call paralysis by analysis. They look and they study and they get to the cliff, but they don't jump into the water. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I say that, again, it goes back to when you start meeting the franchisors that you like, you need to believe in their system, love their culture, trust them, respect what they're doing, and sit down. You don't need a lot of analysis, you need the financial analysis, but really what you need to do is sit back and say, if I own this, would I buy it myself? If I was the owner and I was selling it to Mike, would I want to buy it myself?
Exactly.
And if you can do that, both on the franchisor side and the franchisee, and you have the respect and the trust, and you love the culture and you're passionate, it should be an easy decision.
Right, I agree, and I say that to the franchisees when I go do site visits. I look at the site and say, would I invest I might be a Debbie Downer, but I say I would not do this. I would not take this building. I wouldn't do this site, and that's what I would. That's the way I approach those things.
Right. And I would love that as a franchisee, to have somebody that's honest enough to say, don't put it there. There's got to be a better spot in this town for whatever it is you're trying to do, versus putting it somewhere where you're just trying to sign up locations. That's recipe for disaster.
What do you got in store for us? You're going to be speaking at our conference in Pittsburgh. What's a quick rundown of what you're going to be doing, you and your team?
Well, Tom Baber, Tam Kennedy, and myself will be coming to your conference. We're going to be working along with Jackie and your team to put together a great conference where we're going to talk about goal setting. We're going to talk about what's great in your business, and really try to get everybody to come out, be energized, to get back on brand, and work within the standards of your system, and make everybody very happy to make a lot of money for the new year.
Yeah, I'm excited. I really want to thank you again. I want to thank Louis, our sound effects man in the background there, for joining us. I want to thank you, your team. It's very impressive. For the franchisees, it's going to be really a transformative experience as far as Mitch and his team, and I mean that. You're listening to Dish on Dog. We're probably going to do another segment with Mitch at some point. Talk to us next Monday at 8 p.m. Dish on Dogs.